Okay, we are recording, ladies. Okay, so we're going to spend some time on background. If you've been on the website, you've seen long-term and late side effects of breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. And then we're going to go through the feasibility study, which is a study that we've been funded to do. And then we're going to do a little bit of practice with recipe transformation. At the end of each one of these three sections, I'll turn the camera off so we can share screen and we'll continue to record. Any questions before I begin?
No.
No,
No.
I can't see.
So we have about 11 what's called late term and late side effects of breast cancer. And sometimes it's related to the diagnosis itself, but most often it's related to the treatment. And I know we've discussed these a lot at Sister Talk, and we know most of us have been through these, but we're going to talk about these in terms of diet. So most of you know what lymphedema is. For some reason, Black women tend to get more lymphedema than others. It has a lot to do with the way the lymph nodes were dissected when you had your breast cancer surgery. But
Hmm.
as you can see, edema is at the very end, edema, which just means water retention. And so usually it's on one side of the body, typically wherever the lymph nodes were removed, and it's water retention. And in terms of diet, what can you do about it? Well, most edema is made worse when you eat too much salt, sodium chloride. So when you retain a lot of water, it makes lymphedema even worse. When you gain weight, it can worsen lymphedema. And what do you need to do? You need to stay hydrated, drink enough water without overdoing it. And sometimes when you don't eat enough protein, it can worsen lymphedema if you have it. Even if you have a slight lymphedema, it can really worsen it. So we're going to be focusing on healthy protein sources, not just meat, not just poultry, not just fish, but also non-meat poultry protein sources in our recipes. Chemo brain is cloudiness or fuzziness in terms of cognition. It usually happens during um, breast cancer treatment. Most of the time, it reverses itself, but not always. And sometimes it can go on for years and cause severe problems. Now, because blood goes to the brain, we need the blood vessels to be very strong, and diet can help in terms of blood vessels. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fish, olive oil can improve the health of blood vessels. Um, Omega-3 fatty acids are extremely important. Fish like salmon, trout, sardines. Dark fish usually has a lot more omega-3 fatty acids. And also, you need to limit your alcohol intake because of high density lipoproteins and low insulin resistance that result as a result of drinking too much alcohol. Peripheral neuropathy, which is like shooting, burning pains in your fingers, on your toes. The thing about it is, if you're a diabetic, you may have experienced this also. Again, it has to do with blood flow. It's very common because some of the chemotherapy drugs can cause this neuropathy. Sometimes it goes away after chemotherapy ends, and sometimes it doesn't. That's why it's called long-term and late side effects. So what can we do about peripheral neuropathy in terms of diet? Everybody mute your microphone for right now, please. Can you mute your microphone? Please mute your microphone. So for peripheral neuropathy, you need to eat enough calories to maintain a healthy weight. Fresh foods, whole foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains. Avoid fast digesting carbohydrates like sugar, candy, cookies, cake. Use unsaturated, low cholesterol fats like olive oil, but also a lot of other vegetable oils. Any vegetable oil is a good oil. Fatigue, and most of you I've known for some years now, and we all complain about fatigue. It is the most common side effect. There's a really good article in our news, on our news page today, that was just published this past week, and it talks about fatigue. So 9 out of 10 people who have been treated for breast cancer experience fatigue. It could last for months and even years after the treatment ends. So what can we do about fatigue? Not skip meals, especially breakfast. Eat complex carbohydrates like whole grain starchy vegetables. Um, Select healthy fats from seafood, oil, nuts, and seeds. Here we go again with protein. Eat good sources of protein. Stay hydrated, especially in South Florida where it's so hot. Avoid foods like caffeine and drinks with coffee, tea, and soft drinks that are hot in caffeine. It really does. You think you're getting yourself a little boost from those things, but you come down just as hard. So caffeine related foods actually lead to more fatigue than menopause. Most of us know what that is because you're going to go through it, whether you're young or whether you're old. And what happens is your period always stops. And usually it's happening younger and younger every day now, but it's like around 50 plus or minus 2 years. But when you go through what's called medical menopause as a result of breast cancer treatment, it's a lot more severe. So what can you do in terms of diet? You can eat, you need to get enough calcium. That's extremely important. You need to eat iron-rich foods, and you need to make sure that you're eating enough fiber. Dental issues, so not as common, but what we found in some of our research is that Black women tend to have more complications, dental issues, than non-Black women. So what you need to do, you need to eat plenty of protein and calories when you feel good. Eat a bigger meal early in the day. One of the things that we're going to hope that we hope we will have um, is beverages, appetizers and beverages, different beverages, because depending on what stage of treatment you are and how far out you are from your cancer, those dental issues are very severe. Osteoporosis, again, something that women face all the time, but when you've been treated for breast cancer, your risk of osteoporosis and fracture is greater. Please be quiet. Please be quiet. Mute your microphone. Remember, it's being taped. In terms of osteoporosis, vitamin D is extremely important. We get that from sunlight. You need to avoid processed meats. You need to limit carbonated soft drinks that contain phosphoric acid and caffeine. Limit soy products. Eat fresh fruits and vegetables. Heart problems can also be a big problem. We've learned a lot about that because there's been a lot on the news about it. There are certain class of chemotherapeutic agents that actually can cause heart failure, heart disease, and it happens sometimes many, many years past the diagnosis. And so here are just 4 things that you can do. Keep a healthy weight. Make sure you get enough high fiber, lean proteins, colorful fruits and vegetables. Avoid sodium or salt and limit alcohol. Vision is not as much of a common as a side effect, but it can happen. It does happen. Chemotherapy, radiation, and hormone therapy can all cause vision problems, side effects. So again, you want to make sure that you're eating enough whole grains and cereals, colorful fruits and vegetables, omega-3 fatty acids, good protein sources, avoid sodium, and stay hydrated. Headaches, another common problem with breast cancer treatment. Avoid caffeine and eat regular meals. Excuse me. Ladies, can you please mute your microphone because you're laughing and all of your discussions are going to be on our tape, okay? I really appreciate that. Sometimes you can't be quiet, but we need you to be quiet or turn the microphone off. So blood clots, There are two types. One is called venous thromboembolism, and the other is called deep vein thrombosis. And both can be very, very deadly. And so eating foods rich in vitamin K, like green leafy vegetables, kale, lettuce, spinach, and other vegetables, and some fruits, omega-3 fatty acid fish like salmon, trout, mackerel, and certain oils. All of those vegetable oils are good. Nuts are also extremely important. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen for just a moment and pull you all up again just to see if you have questions about what it means to have healthy survivorship. One of the things we want is to try to limit those side effects through the recipes, through diet, as much as we can. That's healthy survivorship. All of these things also are important to cancer prevention. They sort of go hand in hand. Okay. Any questions or concerns about healthy survivorship?
No, not yet.
Okay, okay, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Now let's talk a little bit about our feasibility study. The study is called At My Kitchen Table. And the purpose is to document the development and evaluation of a website-based cookbook of healthy recipes and nutrition resources to promote among African American breast cancer survivors adherence to diet-related cancer prevention guidelines. So in other words, we're going to develop a cookbook while we're teaching nutrition education. So the first thing we want to do is to find out what people believe about diet and breast cancer occurrence and recurrence. So does diet have a role in causing breast cancer? Does diet have a role in breast cancer returning? We want to examine post and baseline and post cookbook development changes in knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs of breast cancer survivors. We want to measure the overall acceptability, the appearance, taste, texture, and smell of modified recipes. Because you can change something, but it may not be what you eat. And then we want to assess user satisfaction with the website-based cookbook recipes and delivery format. And again, this is cancer prevention, and it's not much different at all from healthy survivorship. Those two things are hand in hand. We're going to have this bookmark at the meeting in March. And on one side, it has the American Institute for Cancer Research recommendations for a healthy diet for breast cancer survivors. On the other side, it has 7 simple steps for breast cancer survivors to participate at my kitchen table. Any questions about the study?
No. Not yet.
No questions yet. Okay, let's go for it. So, healthy survivorship, steps to transforming recipes. You all have been divided into groups, and we changed those groups just a bit. Not the coaches that are in the groups, but the groups themselves. So the appetizers and beverages, that's going to be Vera and Monique, and I know Monique is on the call. We added beverages, Monique, largely because of the dental issue that many people have right after treatment. The main dishes will be Regina and Louise. I'm sorry. The main dishes will be Roberta, and it says Robert. I'll fix that. Roberta and Jeanette. And then the vegetables and side dishes will be Regina and Louise. And the desserts will be Kathy and Terry Ann. And we have a category. You see, I did this real fast. I see a second typo. This and that will be Gail Roberts and Romaine Joseph. And this and that is an overall category. When we can't fit something into the 4 above that, we're going to put them into this and that. An example might be a barbecue sauce, right? Or a salad dressing might go into this and that. So what we hope will happen is that the Ladies and Sister Talk will get you, for example, if you're over appetizers, that you will be given a recipe um, to take a look at. So the coaches will be the first line. You will take the recipe and make sure that all these things are checked off. That it's not too many ingredients, because when you get past 15 ingredients, it's too complicated. That the recipe serves 4 to 6 people. And even if the recipe doesn't serve 4 people, if you're able to duplicate it, so if it serves, say, 2 to 3, you would just double all of the ingredients, because we want it to be 4 to 6 servings. That's a common household number of servings. That it has common household ingredients. Now, we put that, but the truth is, if you're making something that is Creole, or something that is Bahamian or Jamaican, it might not be a quote common household ingredients outside of South Florida, but the cookbook is for South Florida. So you have to play that by ear. It can't be anything weird that you got to go to France to get. It has to be something that could be purchased in South Florida. 10 are few preparation steps, or anything that's too difficult. A preparation time of 60 minutes or less, and fewer than 400 calories per serving to start with. Now, we want those calories to go down, but it can't have more than 400. The second step is you review the list of ingredients and you look at it in terms of the cancer prevention guidelines, and you're going to have those in front of you. We can even develop some kind of checklist so that you can look at all these things. The energy, is it complex carbohydrates, or is it too much sugar, too much salt? We want as many plant-based dishes that we can have. I don't mean vegetarian necessarily, but we want it to be a lot of plants. Look at the fat. What kind of fat is it? Is it too much? Is it animal fat versus vegetable fat? Is it a lot of processed or unprocessed ingredients, and does it include lean meat? And then once you look at the list of ingredients, you have to decide what you can change and what cannot be changed. Everything can't be modified in the recipe. And that's going to take some practice. The first ones that you go through, we will go through as a group. And we're going to do that until you get some confidence in doing it. Then you decide if the amount of ingredients can be reduced or increased. One example is most recipes to me have too much salt. And remember, all those things we talked about, lymphedema, all of those things that you had to cut down on sodium. So salt is one of the areas where we're going to ask you to reduce if it's possible. And then you decide, is there anything I can substitute? If I don't use salt, can I use lemon or lime juice instead that will give it a twang without the sodium? Step 3 is to revise the recipes and make sure they've been in one of our categories. So I'm going to go through some recipes, and this is when I want you to chat with me. This first recipe is pico de gallo, one of my favorites. How many ingredients does it have? Somebody count and tell me.
8.
8. And how many ingredients did we say was the limit? 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Yeah, so this is safe, right?
Yes.
And then we said that it had to have 10 steps or less. How many steps?
4.
4. So right now we're checking off 2 things. This recipe sounds good. If you look at the ingredients, has a lot of fresh vegetables, right?
Yes.
Is there anything in this recipe that you can change, that you can modify?
You could use a little bit of fresh garlic instead of the powder. I don't know if that's much difference, but
You could. Anything else? What about the salt?
yeah.
Would you
Lemon.
Pardon me?
Lemon. Are we
Leave
using
it out
lemon
altogether.
Could you use lemon instead of the
I think you could try it. A part of what we're going to be doing is tasting.
instead of the salt.
Vera, is that you? Have you joined us?
Well, verbally, because I can't get my voice on. I'm looking at you on the webcam, but I cannot
Okay,
hear
we
you.
don't want to talk too much.
I can hear you.
It's being taped, Vera, so it was just a quick question. Okay, we'll get to you in a minute when we take the tape off. Okay.
Okay, I can see the menu and everything, but I just cannot talk to you. I think except on the telephone. I'm on the
Okay.
telephone too.
Okay. Let's go with the appetizers.
Yeah, yeah, I can't see
Chips.
nothing.
This is pita
So
chip.
you
And
can.
Looking at a menu.
how many ingredients are
Mhm.
in the pita chip?
1, 2,
Uh,
3, 4, 5,
six.
6.
Okay. And are there any ingredients that could be changed?
Mm,
I
What
don't know
about
about
one
that.
half cup of olive oil?
a
Yeah,
half a cup. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
yes.
Yeah.
You could consider
Mm-hmm.
spraying the pita chips with Pam olive oil flavored Pam, and you could add some olive oil, but that's a half a cup. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many
Yeah, that's
calories
too
Lot.
that
much.
is? That's a lot. And also, could you do anything about the salt? Remember, you can't
Yeah, I think we
I don't know
could
anything about.
liquid because
use
these
the fresh
are chips
garlic. You
that are
probably
going
could.
in the oven.
Yeah, I think we could crush a little bit of the fresh garlic to mix with the a little bit of the oil to brush it with that, and then you won't really have to use the salt with the other
Garlic salt.
herbs.
Well, you can't.
You
Well,
don't really need the
garlic, salt, and salt is still sodium, so you're gonna have to get rid of that as much as you can. And remember, bread already has a little bit of salt in it. So when the peanut
No, I
butter
was saying we could crush some of
it
the fresh garlic. If you had like a fresh garlic, you could crush it into the oil, and then if you brush the chips with that, you don't have to use the salt at all.
I don't think so. Two reasons. The oven is going to be at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's very high, which means the garlic is going to burn.
Mm,
Mm.
So fresh
okay.
garlic on this, you have to test it out, may not work. The garlic won't replace it. The taste buds don't pick up the same sensation that garlic does that salt does.
Okay.
So I think you have to try it without salt. I mean,
Hmm.
you can add garlic if you want to add garlic, but if you take a look at this, they only use dry herbs. Why is that?
Yeah.
Because it's under the oven at a high degree for a quick amount of time. Garlic burns very fast. So that's something I think about. You could try the Pam again with that, but and then you could try fresh garlic. But since it's dried basil and dried chervil, I think probably garlic powder instead of garlic salt.
Mm,
Mm.
And not fresh, not fresh garlic and not garlic. But that's why we're gonna test these things out because we don't know.
mm.
Okay. And then the calories, it met the the first calories was 21 per serving. This was 125. If you cut that olive oil out, it's gonna go down tremendously. Oh my goodness. So here's a main dish for us: coconut curry chicken. How many ingredients?
9,
9. And how many steps in the directions?
10, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8,
11.
11.
11. Yeah.
So you would either have to outright reject this recipe because it doesn't meet the guidelines. Remember, let me see. This is what you're looking for: 10 to 15 ingredients. It was okay with that, but 10 or fewer preparation steps, and it actually had more than 10. So that's sort of a problem that you'll have to take a look at and decide. You can bargain a bit. You might have to be able to combine some of the steps, and it has 303 calories. Now, I think that this only serves 2, so this is one of the recipes where you would have to double everything. Um, the chicken is skinless and boneless. The salt and pepper is to taste. I don't know what happened there with that. And but it has olive oil. It has curry paste, and curry paste has fat in it also. Uh, It has coconut milk. That seems to be something that you might be able to use coconut water instead. I've tried that. It works really well, and it cuts down on calories because coconut milk from the can is a lot of calories. A lot of calories, as is the tablespoon of oil is not bad because that's a half a tablespoon per breast, but you can try to cut back on that as well. So is this something that looks appealing to you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So here's our next dish. It's a rice pilaf. How many ingredients and how many steps?
11.
11.
Ingredients, 5 steps.
But you know, it has 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. That's way too much just to toast some rice. You know, cook the vegetables and toast the rice before you add it. 2 tablespoons? That's crazy. That's way too much. So that's one thing I see right away that could be changed. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, don't eat chicken broth, you certainly can use vegetable broth. If you buy it already prepared, you can use low sodium. If you make it from scratch, you cannot add any salt at all. A half a teaspoon of salt seems a lot to me as well. What about the white rice? Could you fix that a bit to meet cancer prevention guidelines?
Brown rice.
Yes,
It's brown rice, yeah.
very good, very good. So this is something that I think we could try. Anytime you can add vegetables to your starch, that's a good thing. The next one is fried cabbage. It has 2 teaspoons of butter. Not much, if it's 4 to 6 servings. Chicken broth. They don't add any salt because chicken broth already has salt. It says a pinch and pepper to taste. So this looks pretty straightforward. 4 ingredients, 3 steps, and not very many calories. Great side dish. Now, fruity dessert. So who's doing the dessert? Terry Ann, aren't you dessert?
Yeah.
And it's fruit. What do you think about this? 533 calories. Does this meet our guidelines?
Wow.
I don't think so.
No. Nope. Remember?
Maybe 5.
Nope. We said no more than 400 calories per serving. So that's out unless you can, and that's to start with. When the recipe comes to us, we want it to be 400 calories or less. And it's kind of, key lime pie is such a Florida dish. So we might need to see how we could really reduce it. Sweetened condensed canned milk, which is a big part of a key lime pie. This is a lot of calories and a lot of fat and a lot of sugar. So we would just have to see. If you didn't buy the prepared graham cracker crust and you did it yourself, you would cut down on fat quite a bit with that too. And so it may be possible to do it, but how it would taste, I have no idea. I've never tried to do one that was healthier, but they do exist, and I think it would be worth trying. We want to make sure that we represent as many South Florida recipes, or traditionally South Florida recipes, as possible. So each time we meet at Sister Talk, regardless of what the topic is, starting in March, we're gonna taste something that is going to be one of our recipes. We'll do as many as we can. So we'll have a tasting party. We have little cards for people going to fill out, and they're going to judge and rate each one of the recipes that we taste. That's our tasting party, and that will be listed. Everybody will get an ID number when they first start. And they'll look at appearance. How does it look? Does it look appetizing? How does it taste? How does it feel in your mouth in terms of texture? And how does it smell? And then we really want to find out if it's something that people would want to make on their own. So that's our sensory evaluation. And so we're ready for discussion. I have started collecting recipes. And what we want you to do with your partner is start to collect them too, because some of our folk are not going to have recipes. We already know that, right? The idea is that I think when we meet next month, I'm so sorry I can't seem to get this down. Not working. That's weird. Okay, let me get this and maybe that will help. Oh, let me stop sharing screen and that'll help. Okay.
There we go.
So what we're going to do is we're going to divide everyone up when they first come in. Mary, who's helping you with My Plate Palooza?
I think it's
Gail.
Gail, Romaine, and Kathy. Gail, Romaine, and Kathy.
Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to divide people. When they first come in to sign in, we're going to ask, what's your favorite dish to cook? They say I don't cook. We're going to say, what's your favorite dish to eat? We're going to keep going until they come up with a favorite. And then we're going to divide them up to go with your group, right? So if you're in appetizers and beverages, and the person says, I like to make dips, I think dips goes into this and that. But if they tell us something, I like to cook main dishes. I love to make a roast on Sunday. Then we're going to put them with that specific group. And we'll divide that way. We're going to stay divided that way over the summer as best we can. Now, of course, people won't come to every meeting, but that's what we're going to try to do so that you get to work with your team each time. And we'll create some tools for you to be able to use. And Mary and I will help you in the beginning until you get a gist of it. But one of the things you can start doing is just collecting a bunch of recipes. Because what we want to do is take those recipes and make them our own. Try to transform them, add different ingredients. It's nice if you can test it out beforehand, but even if you can't, we're not going to be able to do a cooking demonstration for absolutely everything, but we'll be able to do one each time. So our plan, even when we have Paint the Town Pink, we're going to do little small dishes. And so we'll be tasting out and evaluating different dishes. Okay, discussion, questions, concerns. Vera, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good.
I can hear and see everything. I can hear you and see everything and see everyone there. For some reason, my picture came out. I don't know what I did wrong. I'll have to go back and check again with Rebecca.
Okay, Mary, you can send me all of those foods that are all those things that are misspelled wrong, but not here. Send to me on text because I can't do it right now. But I made a lot of changes at the last minute today, and that's what happens. I end up with some typos, but we'll fix that. Okay.
Dr. Smith, my phone going dead.
Okay, so this is Regina.
Yes, my phone is going dead.
Okay.
And I'm not at home.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
No questions, no concerns. What did you learn? Everybody tell me one thing you learned. Mona,
I have
what
a
you learn?
question. I did not hear. Was this supposed to be for the March meeting?
It's for all meetings moving forward. Yes.
All meetings moving forward. Okay.
So this will be up on the web, we hope, just depending on how many interruptions we had during the taping. If it's not good quality, we will not put it. I'll correct the slides and we'll put the slides up. If the recording is there, you'll be able to hear. I'm going to turn the recording off now. You'll be able.
I actually just got in, but I was listening in the car, and about the long range side effects. That's it's very, very important because sometimes people think that once it's over, and then 10, 15 years later you have all of these different things that occur that actually trace back. So that's why it's so important to be aware and be alert of your body, and just to be on top of whatever you can do to try to minimize or avoid. And we've shared that at several of the meetings, but more so now, it's just more knowledge to be able to take care of ourselves.
And we're learning more and more every day about these late and long-term side effects. And it's just amazing. And we wouldn't know. We probably know some of this because we share some of this in Sister Talk. But it's interesting when you read these articles and they talk about fatigue and not just being tired, but waking up tired and being tired all during the day. And sometimes it lasts for the rest of your life. That is so interesting. Jen, one thing that you learned or got out of this today?
about for us to be more careful about salt and take this, substitute. We could substitute the salt and try to eat, less sodium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mary.
The protein thing with me also, the way that making sure that you have balanced amounts and how it can affect you in different ways if you don't eat enough.
Okay. And Vera, we see you.
Yes, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
One thing that you got out of today?
Oh, it reinforced my belief. Any recipe I look at that has more than 15 ingredients, I avoid it.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
yes.
That's complicated.
And the preparation, little preparation. Those are the type of recipes that attract me. But I also learned about that oil, which I got to look into because I really work a lot like coconut oil, and I'm wondering if that could be substituted for the olive oil.
You certainly could try that. Coconut oil is used a lot in processed foods. So switch
Right.
to something like safflower oil or olive oil is much better. So we're going to get into all these things. One of the things that we want to do is once a recipe has been transformed and we've tasted it and everybody likes it and we say, yes, we want to include this in our cookbook, what we want to do is do a recipe card with a little bit about a picture of the dish, maybe a picture of the survivor. That's what our goal is. And a line or two about the survivor and the dish, list of ingredients, steps, and then categorize them based on those different categories that I told you about. So,
I have a question.
yes.
As far as appetizers are concerned, because sometimes appetizers are so heavy into the calories, but so how will we be mindful of that if it's going with a dinner?
Well, we gave you some guidelines, and you're gonna have to follow those guidelines. And a part of that, the recipes come to the coaches first before we look at them as a group, before we evaluate them. So that's going to be a part of the decision that you're going to make. Certainly a main dish that's 300 calories is okay, but an appetizer that's 300 calories is not going to be okay.
It'll be okay, right?
So that's a part of the decision that you'll have to make. When people, we're going to talk to the whole group about this. As I said, I'm advising you to start pulling recipes as you can because, some of our people are shy. They're not going to have recipes. You're going to say, do you like this? And you're going to be assigning them recipes. But we want people to learn about the cancer prevention guidelines. We want to learn as much about nutrition as we possibly can as a part of this process. That's one of the outcomes. That's not the main outcome, but the idea is that if you can change people's attitudes and their knowledge about nutrition and cancer, you've accomplished a lot. Our overall goal is to come up with a healthy cookbook. And Mary and I have been talking about what would that cookbook look like if we tried to print it. So maybe recipe cards that are collectibles, and that's what will go up on our website, sort of little cards and give people incentives, or maybe do a box and put them all in a box and sell the box because we need money. So we'll just see. We haven't gotten that far yet. This is funded by my Department of Family Medicine at Medical College of Georgia. I wrote a grant for this. It's not a huge grant. It's small. Basically, we'll be paying for the food mainly during the recipe transformation. And we will have some type of little incentives for people, like a recipe box with the things in. You finish, you participate, you get that. Maybe an apron with the Sister Talk logo on it. Some type of incentive like that. The budget is too small to give out money. So we can't give money, but we can give the recipes or the cookbooks or incentives with a logo. And we haven't worked all that out yet. The study is 1 year study. And March will just be the start, but we won't be official because I'm waiting on getting IRB approval. And so once we've gotten the Institutional Review Board approval, because everybody has to be consented. So in March, we're just going to be talking about it and promoting it. You don't have to be a member of Sister Talk to be in the cookbook. So Kathy, those people from down south, you can get their recipes. They're going to have to come when we transform the recipe. We can't have a tasting party with every single recipe. That's not going to be possible because I'd like to see us have at least 100 recipes. But Bert's not here. Bert can give us about 50 herself. Eric could do another 50. So, there you go. That's 100. I'm joking. But we do want to represent South Florida as best we can. But that's where we are. Anything else about this? Because I have a couple other things I want to talk about before Mary talks.